In modern basketball today, we often heard the term like teams going small, and how that's kind of thrown around to give that team an advantage, we'll consider. And I 100% buy into that and love that. Today, my goal is to communicate to you why Nikola Jokic, while being the biggest man on the floor often, is still a version of that small ball that we've seen take over the NBA. My goal is to do this in two parts. First, I'm going to try and communicate that small ball is indeed a real thing by showing you examples. And then second, I'm going to show you specific examples of why Jokic allows for this type of offense, this type of playing style. The first thing we need to consider is that when going small, a lot of times the reason why being small is advantageous is because it creates more space on offense to get either good looks, whether that be threes or layups or whatever uncontested shots you can get. We're going to look at both semifinals. We're going to look at Denver versus LA and then Boston versus Miami and see which team was smaller and how that led to certain shots. So the first thing we're looking at here is on this Lakers possession, does he have space when driving in the air? Does Schroeder have any space? And the reality is he's got bodies following him the entire time he enters the paint or enters inside the three-point line. He's got multiple defenders right now. He's got literally 4 defenders staring right at him. Okay? Goes through and shoots a difficult contested fadeaway. The reason why he has so many people focused on him is because Denver doesn't respect the shooters on LA. They don't see them as a threat, and so effectively LA is not small in this situation because they're not creating spacing for these kind of opportunities. Coincidentally, on the other end, let's look at why the Nuggets were quote-unquote the smaller team. Okay, so first off, we can see the spacing. Already the Lakers are respecting the shooters on the outside more. Okay, so as soon as anyone comes to help, easy kick out to a good shooter, open, uncontested three. The Nuggets were smaller than the Lakers. Okay, so now let's move over to Miami versus Boston. This is actually the perfect series to look at because the first big change that happened was Boston went small themselves, and that's what allowed them for the comeback. And then Miami went small in Game 7, and that's what allowed them to win in Game 7. They actually went small kind of Game 6 and Game 7. Okay, so first off, we can see here on the drive, there is no room because Boston's playing good defense. They got good defense all the way around. Jason Tatum's able to lock him up. Whereas Marcus Smart and Al Horford, they're helping down, showing assistance, no room, and it's a turnover. Now let's look on the other end of the court. Okay, so Boston in this lineup has no Robert Williams. They have Al Horford as their big, who represents a much more of a shooting threat, so they have shooters all the way around the court. Okay, so on this, you got to respect Jason Tatum as a shooter. You got to respect Al Horford as a shooter, so a little unsure. And you can't help off these guys over here because they can both hit you with threes. So it gives open driving lane, and it's a dunk. Space allows you to create an attack and get good opportunities. Boston went smaller, and so they won games 4 through 6. Okay, so in Game 7, the Miami Heat countered eventually, and they went small themselves. As we can see, there's no Kevin Love. You got Bam Adebayo as the biggest, who's not really a crazy shooting threat from outside, but still represents more of a guard-like mentality. He's definitely smaller, quote-unquote, than Robert Williams. So against this, essentially 2 small lineups against each other. But what the small lineup allows is it allows you to have more guards, you have better defense, and you're able to take advantage of those situations. Instead of letting Jason Tatum get downhill for the dunk, you're now able to get the turnover. And then looking at for the offense for Miami and what it provides by going small is you're able to have better drivers and better shooters that give you, ideally, better opportunities. But first off, we got to see you got to respect Duncan Robinson as a shooter. The moment Al Horford sags off, what does it do? It gives an open look because Marcus Smart got caught on the screen. So then now, finally, why Nikola Jokic represents everything that is small while still being the biggest one on the court. Okay, so the first thing we need to talk about is spacing. Does Nikola Jokic provide more spacing? And his ability to pass creates spacing around him. Okay, so because he needs a smaller window to be able to make these passes like this and to get efficient looks, because of his passing ability, it creates more spacing in essence for Denver's offense. So then does Jokic allow for driving as well as the passing to create spacing? So does he take advantage of the open space? And the answer is yes. We saw this multiple times, Jokic against AD, but we see it here against the Suns as well. He's able to take advantage of little gaps in space, and while he's not like super crazy athletic, he uses his body and uses his quickness of the first step to create that advantage. So then does Jokic possess the ability to create shots and shoot from the outside as well? That'd be the third check mark. So first off, we know that Jokic is a 36+% three-point shooter from outside, but he also has the awareness to shoot difficult shots in a timely manner with the shot clock running down and make them even though they're highly contested. If this doesn't create spacing, there is nothing that is going to create spacing. Okay? If LeBron is all over him as well as Austin Reeves, and he still is able to shoot that contested shot, that forces the defense to react to him on the perimeter as well. So then finally, let's get to the most recent game and see how Nikola Jokic was able to create space, essentially playing small, that led to Denver getting open opportunities. Okay, so first off right here, we can see Gordon is matched up with Cody Martin. This is a mismatch for Denver. Denver definitely has the ability here. Okay, we have the small lineup. We have shooter, 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 and normally you would help off the big. This would be Bam Adebayo that's providing help down there. However, you have to respect Nikola Jokic from outside, and so you cannot help. And so that leaves Gordon one-on-one, and that's an easy layup. Another great example of this follows from his ability to create space as well through his passing. Okay, we get the ball inside immediately. As soon as he touches the ball, if there's a window of opportunity, it's going to create an opportunity and he is going to find it for whatever easy uncontested shot is. So first off, who's in the paint right now? Bam Adebayo has 1 foot in the paint. Okay, that shows there is spacing over here, shooter. There is spacing over here, shooter. Defense has to be close and there's spacing up here. Jimmy Butler has to respect Gordon. So that leaves no one in the paint, no one protecting the rim. Because Bam Adebayo has to be obviously close to Jokic, the moment there is any space or any opportunity, Jamal Murray is able to get a little separation, dunk at the rim. So this small ball situation that we saw that came up in the recent years, Jokic not only plays into that small ball, he is probably the next evolution of the small ball where he's able to do all those things as effectively and still have the length and size of a traditional big.